Now, this is all the money Niska gave us in advance.
I'm good. Let's speak for everyone. I'm right there with you.
There's a special kind of heartbreak only TV fans know. The show that grabs you by the collar, makes a promise, and then vanishes before it can keep it. Network schedules shuffle, budgets balloon, ratings wobble, and suddenly a world you were just getting invested in is over. Today we're counting down 13 cult favorites from before 2011 that were canceled too soon. We'll hit what made each special, what went wrong behind the scenes, and why these series deserved a longer life. Some spawned fan campaigns, some earned Emmys, some even got a movie years later, but all of them leave that same bittersweet question: what could they have become with one more season? We'll start with a razor-sharp workplace satire, and then go wide. Spycraft, steampunk, Southern Gothic horror, mythic epics, and teen dramas that rewired the genre. Buckle up. This list moves from boardrooms to battlefields to the cafeteria table where your whole identity starts to solidify. 13. Better Off Ted. From the first deadpan voiceover, Better Off Ted told you exactly what it was: a razor-edged office satire set inside a cartoonishly amoral corporation named Viridian Dynamics. The tone lived somewhere between The Office's observational cringe and Arrested Development's machine gun absurdism, with lab mishaps, nonsense memos, and HR disasters playing like parables about late 2000s corporate culture. Jay Harrington's Ted was our charming tour guide. Portia de Rossi's Veronica perfected the icily hilarious boss, and the scientist Lemon Phil delivered some of the most quotable lab rat comedy of the era. What went wrong? The show's wit was so fast and specific that it struggled to find a broad audience, and scheduling glitches didn't help. Despite critical praise, Season 2 aired in a burn-off pattern, and then lights out. Why it deserved better? The formula was a renewable engine. Viridian had infinite satirical fuel, and the ensemble's timing only got sharper. Instead of maturing into the cult classic it clearly could be, it became a cult souvenir. If Ted skewered corporate reinvention with jokes, our next pick asked a darker question. What if reinvention meant waking up in a new body with your old life suddenly off limits? 12. Now and Again. High concept with a big beating heart. A middle-aged everyman, played briefly by John Goodman, dies in an accident and wakes up as the government's perfect bioengineered asset. Same mind, brand new body, only he can't contact the family he loves. Dennis Haysbert plays the handler who keeps the secret mission on track, while the show toggles between spycraft, sitcom-adjacent longing, and a season-long cat and mouse with a villain who feels ripped from a comic book. What went wrong? Tonal shape-shifting plus late 90s broadcast expectations. Ratings never matched the cost, and CBS axed it after one season, right on a brutal cliffhanger about identity and reunion. Why it deserved better? Beneath the sci-fi hook was a surprisingly tender domestic drama about second chances and the price of reinvention. One more year could have paid off the family storyline, escalated the big bad, and cemented this as one of the decade's smartest genre hybrids, where Now and Again used sci-fi to explore identity. Our next show strapped those questions to a horse, a six-shooter, and a very suspicious glowing artifact. The Adventures of Brisco County Jr. A gleefully pulpy western that flirted with steampunk before most of us had a word for it. Brisco County fused Bruce Campbell's winking charisma with train heists, sci-fi gadgets, and a myth arc about a mysterious orb that promised destiny-level payoffs. Tonally, it was Indiana Jones with a TV budget and a Saturday matinee spirit horses, quips, and cliffhangers galore. What went wrong? Scheduling shuffles and a network uncertain how to market a western that also had future tech and serialized mythology. Ratings never stabilized, and Fox pulled the plug after one season. Why it deserved better? The premise was elastic enough to tell any kind of story. Monster of the week, conspiracy slow burns, character comedies without breaking tone. One more year could have balanced the standalone fun with the bigger cosmic arc, turning cult affection into long-tail legend. Think Firefly's found family energy, just wearing spurs and a grin. If Brisco played the West for swashbuckling wonder, our next stop heads to the modern South. Humid, haunted, and ruled by a smiling devil in a sheriff's badge. 10. American Gothic. Set in the sultry darkness of Trinity, South Carolina, American Gothic was a southern fried morality play with a supernatural pulse. Sheriff Lucas Buck, played by Gary Cole, oozed charm and menace, tempting townsfolk into deals that always came due, while a young boy, Caleb, hovered between innocence and legacy. It was small-town Americana by way of Faust, slow, humid, and unsettling. with episodes that felt like whispered secrets you weren't supposed to hear. What went wrong? Airing out of order, time slot changes, and the perennial 90s problem of not quite knowing how to nurture serialized, mood-driven storytelling on broadcast. Why it deserved better. The show had a clear, tragic engine. What does it cost to be good when power is so easy and smiling? And the cast-setting chemistry was potent. Another season could have deepened the battle for Caleb's soul and turned Buck into one of TV's great long-game villains, rather than a cult memory traded in hushed tones. From Southern Gothic to Dust Bowl prophecy, let's trade the humidity of Trinity for a sepia-tinted apocalypse rolling across 1930s America. 9. Carnivàle. Carnivàle was a dust-blown fever dream, a Great Depression road myth about a traveling carnival, a reluctant faith healer, and a preacher sliding towards something unholy. It fused American folklore with Book of Revelation dread, painting the 1930s in sepia nightmares. Behind the scenes, creator Daniel Knauf sketched a 6-season saga split into books, with the first 2 seasons laying down chess pieces, prophecy, bloodlines, apocalypse symbolism, like a literary puzzle box. What went wrong? Money, mostly. Prestige ambitions plus lavish period detail made each episode expensive, and the audience never grew enough to match the costs. So the story cut off mid-prophecy. Why it deserved better? Structure. It wasn't a meandering see-where-it-goes series. It had a map. Fans weren't asking for infinity, just the rest of the book. If Carnivàle asked whether fate can be outrun, our next show sent its hero sprinting through time with a killer on her heels and the end of the world penciled in for next Friday. 8. Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. This wasn't just Terminator, the TV show. TSCC treated the franchise like a serious character study. Sarah as a paranoid protector, John as a kid buckling under destiny, and Cameron as the most unsettlingly endearing machine on TV. It expanded the mythology with time loop wrinkles, moral gray zones, and a final episode that still haunts fans, a cliffhanger that flung John into a future where no one knew him. What went wrong? Friday night time slots, ratings erosion, and the cost of doing action right on broadcast. Why it deserved better. It proved Terminator could be intimate and idea-driven without losing momentum. Season 3 had the pieces for a jaw-drop evolution of the lore. From neon-lit destiny to candy-colored mortality. Let's swap metal endoskeletons for a pie maker who can touch life and death like a light switch. 7. Pushing Daisies. A pie maker who can revive the dead with a touch. Revival lasting 1 minute unless a life is traded sounds like a gimmick. In Brian Fuller's hands, it became a fairy tale procedural about love you can't touch, life you can't keep, and color palettes that looked good enough to eat. The narration sang, the production design popped, and Lee Pace and Anna Friel floated through scenes like storybook postcards. What went wrong? Timing and cost. The 2007-08 writers' strike shattered its early momentum, and by the return, its ratings couldn't justify the expense. Why it deserved better. Under the whimsy lived a meticulously balanced machine, rules with real consequences, serialized mysteries and characters that deepened each week. With one more season, Daisies could have landed its fairy tale arc with the closure fans still imagine. And if Dice made death feel delicate, our next show made detective work feel like a second language, the fluent snark of a teenage noir heroine who never met a locked door she couldn't talk her way through. 6. Veronica Mars. Part neo-noir, part teen drama. Veronica Mars found lightning in a bottle with Kristen Bell's quippy wounded detective prowling the sunny rod of Neptune, California. Each season stacked a marquee mystery over case of the week puzzles, all threaded with class wars, PTA politics, and first loves that burned like evidence. What went wrong? The show lived in a constant battle between creative ambition and the demands of shifting networks, rebrands, and ratings math. By season 3, the format was nudged around, the budget tightened, and renewal roulette finally came up empty. Why it deserved better. Few series nailed the cocktail of cynicism, heart, and puzzle box storytelling like Mars. It built a world worth revisiting, and a lead worth following into adulthood. Neptune hid conspiracies under palm trees. Our next entry carved them in marble, where history itself was the crime scene. 5. Rome. Rome arrived like a cinematic thunderclap. Political intrigue, street-level lives, and power-carving history in real time. Titus Pullo and Lucius Vorenus gave us soldier's eye views while Caesar, Antony, and Octavian turned the Senate into a chessboard. What went wrong? This was prestige TV before streaming budget sets, costumes, extras, battles. Every hour looked like a film. When a fire damaged sets and costs ballooned, the economics buckled. Why it deserved better. Creatively, the table was set for a longer, richer arc through the Augustan Age. The show proved historical epics could be intimate, funny, and brutal without losing scale. If Rome was statesmen with knives behind their backs, the next town put its daggers on the bar and argued morality through clenched teeth and Shakespearean profanity. 4. Deadwood. Deadwood turned the American West into Shakespeare with mud. I'll swear Angan's soliloquies, Seth Bullock's barely contained fury, and David Milch's language profane, lyrical, addictive, made a frontier town feel like a living organism. What went wrong? A perfect storm. High costs, complicated cast contracts, and shifting network priorities. The fourth season never materialized, leaving alliances unsettled and characters mid-sentence. Why it deserved better? Deadwood was building toward a reckoning, civic, moral, and personal, that a final season could have crystallized. We eventually got a movie for partial closure, but the series' grand cadence begged for a symphonic finale. From swear-soaked saloons to the ragged edge of a galactic empire, our next pick keeps the frontier spirit. Just swap horses for a Firefly-class ship and gold dust for contraband jobs. 3. Firefly. A scrappy crew hustling jobs on the ragged edge of a shiny empire. Firefly was a western in space that felt fully lived in from the jump. The ensemble chemistry clicked instantly. The slang felt like culture, not quirk, and the moral universe had dust and dents. What went wrong? Fox aired episodes out of order, buried the pilot, and bounced the show around the schedule. Viewers never got the proper on-ramp, and the ratings never had a chance to congeal. Why it deserved better? The premise was a season-to-season treasure chest. Frontier politics, heists, found family banter, and a bigger myth arc that the film's Serenity only partially resolved. Browncoats know the sting of unfinished business. But for our next entry, the tragedy isn't spaceships, it's Letterman jackets. 2. Freaks and Geeks. Set in 1980 Michigan with the warmth of a well-worn flannel, Freaks and Geeks told small stories with surgical honesty. First heartbreak, cafeteria rituals, overbearing expectations, the teachers who surprise you. The cast: Linda Cardellini, James Franco, Busy Phillips, Seth Rogen, Jason Segel. Reads now like a prophecy. What went wrong? A chronic ailment for quality teen shows, time slot shuffles, nervous notes, and the sense that executives weren't seeing the plan. It ended after 18 episodes, with unaired installments trickling out later. Why it deserved better? The series wasn't about high school. It was about the moment your identity coagulates. One more season could have carried the Weirs through transformations the finale only teased. If Freaks and Geeks captured the ecosystem around adolescence, our top pick captured the inside of it. The live wire of a single soul trying to make sense of itself in real time. 1. My So-Called Life. A single season, 19 episodes, and an entire generation's interior monologue. My So-Called Life let Angela Chase narrate the granular terror and ecstasy of being seen by friends, by parents, by the one person you wish wouldn't. It embraced awkward silence, unglamorous consequence, and topic shows still dodge: identity, abuse, queer storylines handled with grace. What went wrong? Low Nielsen numbers in a landscape that didn't yet know how to measure intensity over volume. The network pulled the plug just as the characters were leveling up. Why it deserved better? Because it was proof that teen stories could be art. Its influence rippled for decades, but the show itself never got the second year that could have sealed its place at the very top of the canon. Across networks and genres, the pattern repeats: schedule chaos, budgets versus ambition, and the eternal mismatch between what spreadsheets can count and what stories can become. From corporate satire and bioengineered spies to steampunk cowboys and southern devils, these series didn't just entertain, they carved out moods and mythologies that later shows still borrow. A lot of them found second lives: DVD cults, streaming rediscoveries, revival films. But that doesn't erase the unfinished symphonies. If anything, it proves the point. Great shows don't die, they echo. Which one still lives rent-free in your head? Drop it in the comments, and if we missed your personal heartbreak, we might do a part 2. If you enjoyed this trip through the ghosts of TV past, like and subscribe so we can keep digging up the buried treasure.